and today we're going to be reading this book, and again it's from the library. Last time, did you see that video? We did the Owl and the Pussycat, but this time we've got another library book, but a different one. Okay, so now we'll start reading. It looks like it's a short book. Oh, jeez.
One morning, Mum decided to take Ruby shopping. Ruby can be helping Mummy, said Mum. Helping Mummy? Shouted Ruby, jumping up and down with glee.
Then she likes shopping.
Then Ruby couldn't stop jumping up and down. That's enough jumping, said Mum. Enough jumping, agreed Ruby. Come on, said Mum. Into the pushchair and off we go. Off we go, said Ruby. Whee!
Whee!
At first, Ruby tried her best to be helpful. Mum chose things and gave them to Ruby, and Ruby put them into the trolley. Mum handed Ruby a bag of carrots.
A bag of carrots?
Can you put these in the trolley, please? Asked Mum. In the trolley? Said Ruby proudly, dropping them in.
They look heavy, don't they?
Then Mum handed Ruby a big bag of crisps. In they go, said Mum. In they go, said Ruby, scrunching the pack to make it crackle. Not scrunching things, Ruby, said Mum. Do it properly. Properly, said Ruby. Mum handed Ruby a loaf of bread. Can you put this in the trolley, please? She asked. In the trolley, said Ruby, throwing the bread up in the air. Not throwing it, said Mum. Do it nicely. Nicely, agreed Ruby. Then Mum handed Ruby a tin of beans. Ruby bent down and rolled it along the floor. Rolling it, rolling along. Right, said Mum. If you can't help me properly, you'd better go in the seat. In the seat, said Ruby, grabbing the trolley and running off with it. Come back here, Ruby, shouted Mum. You'd better stop right now, or there'll be trouble, and I mean it.
That's so funny.
You're not being very helpful, Ruby, said Mum, plonking her into the trolley. Not very helpful, agreed Ruby sadly. Mum trundled into the cake section. Let's get something for tea, she said. Look, they've got that cake with the piggy face on it. You like that one, don't you? Like that one, said Ruby.
What in the world is that doing?
I'll just pop it into the trolley, said Mum. Ruby watched the cake go in and twisted around to look at it. hold the piggy cake?" she asked. "No, no," said Mum. "Leave it in the trolley, OK? Just leave it." "Just leave it," agreed Ruby, nodding wisely.
Nodding?
"That's right," said Mum nervously. "Just leave it, OK?"
She held it.
"Just hold it?" Ruby asked again, smiling very sweetly. "Just hold the piggy cake?" Then Mum made a big mistake. "All right then," she said, taking the box out of the trolley. "Just hold it, OK?"
Oh no.
Ruby held out her arms and wiggled her fingers. "Just hold it," she agreed, grabbing the box and clutching it tightly.
Oh no.
"That's right," said Mum. "Just hold it, OK?"
That isn't right. At all. So that's the end of the video then. Oh, why were you going to cover at me?
Ruby clutched the cake a bit too tightly. Then she looked up at her mum and smiled a very determined smile. "Have the piggy cake," said Ruby very loudly. "Have the piggy cake now." Ruby squeezed the box and the cake fell out. "No, no," said Mum, trying to grab the cake. "Give the cake to Mummy." "Have the piggy cake," yelled Ruby.
Give the piggy cake.
"Have the piggy cake now." Mum tried to lift Ruby out of the seat, but she stuck her legs out straight and fell over backwards. Mum tried to grab the cake, but Ruby held on to it. Everyone was looking. Finally, Mum wrestled the squashed cake from Ruby's clutches and put what was left of it back into the trolley. Ruby was screaming her head off. "Give me the piggy cake! Have the piggy cake! Ah! Want it now!" Doesn't sound very kind, does it?
No.
It's a bit rude, really, isn't it?
Yeah, because she's just copying.
Ruby carried on screaming while Mum paid for the shopping. "I'm so sorry about this," said Mum to the checkout lady. "I think you must be tired. You're not usually like this, are you, Ruby?" But Ruby was plunging headfirst into the back of the trolley. "Give me the piggy cake now!" she screamed. "Ah!" Mum packed the bags as fast as possible, crammed Ruby into the pushchair and hurried out of the shop. Everyone was still looking. Ruby went on yelling all the way home. "Give me the piggy cake! Ah! Want it now! Ah!"
No.
"Ruby," said Mum, "for goodness sake, everyone's looking at you. Stop that noise at once." But Ruby didn't stop at once. In fact, she didn't stop at all until they got to the front door. Not a happy bunny. Mum pushed the pushchair into the hall and sat down at the bottom of the stairs. Ruby was very tired and Mum was very cross. "Now then, Ruby," said Mum sternly. "You were very naughty." "Very naughty," agreed Ruby sadly. Ruby smiled her best smile. Ruby smiled her best, sorriest smile and said in a teeny tiny voice, "Have the piggy cake, please." Do you think she should have piggy cake?
Yeah, she says please in a way.
Yes, but that was quite bad behaviour, wasn't it?
They're all the jumps.
Now, do we know whether she got the piggy cake? Is a cliffhanger.
No.
It's a cliffhanger of a story.
She didn't. This is just the end.
That was it.
That was just the end.
Oh, that was intense.
She didn't. She didn't see. She just.
Well, it doesn't say. It's a cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger. What does that mean?
It means that we don't know. And that we can decide, essentially. We can decide how it goes. I personally think no.
Me too.
Because sometimes just saying sorry isn't enough, is it?
Yeah, I think that actually is like all the jumps at the very beginning when they went shopping. I think it's that part. I think it's just the end. I think it's just those jumps.
It is,
at the finish.
Mhm.
Look at the piggy cake.
Oh.
Bye. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.
3, 2, 1. Wake up.